Hi everyone, it's Zion here, and today this isn't a amateur film critics podcast. This is about something different. So on June 22nd, 2021, they released a trailer for this straight to DVD movie entitled "Straight Out of No 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 No." Oh, where Scooby Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog, and immediately memories of Courage the Cowardly Dog started coming to my brain almost immediately of how interesting this show was and how interesting a topic it would be to cover on the channel. And I've been thinking of ideas on like other series that aren't the podcast to do on the channel. And so we're gonna try this. It's gonna be part one of I'm gonna go through all the seasons of Courage and like talk about them individually. So this will at least have four parts because there are four seasons. Um, and I'm also want to throw in. I'm also want to cover a few other things that the Courage characters have been in. So yeah, let's get started, y'all. All right. So before we get started about talking about season one of Courage, I would just like to talk about the pilot really quickly, which aired like way before season one aired, but the pilot of Courage originally aired on I think it was like What a Cartoon on Cartoon Network, and so the one of the things that surprised me about the pilot was that it actually kind of like set the basis of what almost every episode of Kurt the Cowardly Dog, at least in season one, is like actually um actually plays out. And so and so like here's an example of a typical episode of Courage. Uh, so everything is fine. Courage then sees a monster, tries to tell Eustace and Muriel about the monster. They don't leave him. The monster like villain starts like attacking Eustace and Muriel, and most of the time Eustace will get like either like killed or like turned into something like horrible, and then Courage then tries to only save Muriel and not Eustace. And so yeah, that's how a pilot plays out, and that's how what most of the episodes of season one plays out. So the pilot, there's really not nothing else to talk about the pilot. Maybe like the designs of the characters, or but basically in the pilot, a an alien from outer space, which is a chicken, comes and attacks their farmhouse, and so that's the villain. So yeah, on to season one. So now we get to season one of Courage, and how I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna put like the episodes in categories and review them in and review them by the categories I put them in. Fair warning, I won't be reviewing every episode, but I am reviewing most of them. Some of the episode there wasn't just a lot for me to talk about. I didn't have like much to say about certain episodes, but or they didn't like fit into like any of the categories that I have down. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the first category of season 1 of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Alright, heads up, beef. I don't think the villains of this episode aren't really that great. I didn't like. I don't know. I just found this as a boring episode to watch, and that's why it's in this category. The twist at the end wasn't that twisty. It still was a weird episode, but I mean, it's not my least favorite, but it's still in the least favorite category. The gods must be see. This one, it has a weird plot, but every time I watch it, I just want it to end. I don't find this as an enjoyable episode to watch, in my opinion. The so-called like a bad guy we're not supposed to be rooting for, like he's not really like that bad. I don't know. It's just a weird episode. The precious, wonderful, adorable, lovable duckling. This one, I don't like the bad guy. I don't like the black duckling in this episode. I know it. I don't like. I just find him as like. I don't know. I find him annoying. Because he just comes in and he just dislikes Courage for like no reason. and Courage is also mean to him for no reason. So I don't really, yeah. Little Muriel. So I find young Muriel to be a little bit of a, I don't know, annoying, or like gives me a like headache every time I watch this one, because so a tornado comes and turns her like into Yun, which is a weird plot. But it isn't the weirdest plot we've seen. And then it turns Muriel into this annoying child, and it just doesn't fit with the theme of the show. The theme of the show is this is like a creepier show, that has like creepy episodes, but to have an episode where Courage takes care of a child, it just doesn't fit in. The same goes with the rest of the episodes that are in this category. They just don't fit with the theme that the show is trying to come across as this scary show, in my opinion. Maybe except for the Heads of Beef one. That one was a little bit scary, but yeah. So my least favorite episode in season 1 is Cajun Granny 2. I don't know. There's something about this episode where this was like the second half of episode 1, so maybe they were like trying to like throw it on the wall and seeing like if it was a dick, or maybe that they were trying to like get their like see what see like what their show was trying to be about, but I'm not a fan of this one. Yeah, this doesn't feel like a Courage episode. This feels Y'all know that Looney Tunes cartoon. I don't know the name of it, but it's got like Sylvester and another cat are both trying to get Tweety at the same time. It kind of reminds me of that because the plot is there's this fox trying to cook Muriel, and Courage is also trying to like save Muriel, and so it's got that like Looney Tunes dynamic to it, which is fine for Courage because like Courage can get a little bit silly at times, but this one is just too silly. They rely too much of the zany and wacky cartoon aspects of it, in my opinion. So, yeah. So that's like my least favorite of season one. So. Alright, so next we're going to talk about, this category is called the sweet episodes of Courage, and so these are episodes where I find, like, tug on the heartstrings of the characters are like emotional, where they try to be like, we aren't just like a, like a scary slash horror cartoons, we can also be emotional, and so these are like those kinds of episodes. So, yeah. Queen of the Black Puddle. Oh boy. So half of this, there are parts of this episode where I find kind of uncomfortable because, so the villain of this episode is kind of like, so she tries to so I don't know how to describe it. It's one of the more sexier villains of Courage, and so the entire time she is trying to get Eustace to follow her because of her attractiveness, and so, and so I just find it uncomfortable to watch parts of this. And if you've seen this episode, you probably know like what I'm talking about. And so it's just and so why it's in this category is not because of that. It's because of it's because of so she happens to like lure Eustace into her cave, which is under a puddle, and so Courage then goes to Muriel, and Muriel is crying because Muriel thinks that Eustace has left her for another woman, and she is so heartbroken by that. And so that's why it's in this category. And Courage does these things to try to like cheer her up, but they don't work. So it's one of the more sweeter moments of season one. So that's why it's on this list, even though it's not really one of the more sweeter episodes. It's still on this list. It's still in this category, I mean. Courage meets Bigfoot. This is also like not really sweet throughout. It starts off as one of the more like scarier like episodes. So, but before we talk about the sweet moment of this episode, I'm gonna talk about there's a scene in this where Courage and Bigfoot have a food fight in the kitchen of the house, and so then like somehow a radio turns on, and then it turns to Courage and Bigfoot dressed in fruit, and they start dancing, and it just comes out of nowhere. It is like on it's one of the more weirder Courage moments, I would say. And so, but why it's in the sweet episode is because at the end, Eustace forms a mob, and so, and the mob is about to like kill Bigfoot, and then Bigfoot's mother comes out, who his mother earlier in the episode comes knocking on their door and asks if they've seen her child. Well, here we find out that this horrible monster is her child, and so it just feels like one of the more sweeter moments, and you'll get more of what I'm talking about if you actually have seen this episode. And so, yeah. The Hunchback of Nowhere. So this one and the next one I'll be talking about are like, these are episodes where it's kind of like sweet, are they kind of like, these episodes, the entirety of them are meant to like tug on your heartstrings. And so in The Hunchback of Nowhere, this kind of like, it's sort of, the main character is sort of a play on Quasimodo. I don't really know if he is, or if he's supposed to be like the actual Quasimodo or not. And so as a hunchback character, he stays with Courage and the old people for a night, and then he goes and he bonds with Courage that night, mostly over ringing bells. And so he goes in the house and just Eustace and him like go at each other. And so you're supposed to like feel that like they're rivals in a way, but then later on in the episode, they put on like a bell concert for Muriel, and Muriel comes up, and the Hunchback character sees Eustace abusing, or kind of like, abusing Courage, as he always does. And then he like, I don't remember. Yeah, I think he like pulls out a mask of Eustace for some reason, and like says the things he's been saying says the things that Eustace has been saying to Courage against him, and makes him fall off the roof. And so I feel that now Courage and this Hunchback character have a special bond. And so yeah, tugs on your heartstrings, or it's supposed to like make you feel things. Mother's Day. This is the episode where we take a deeper dive into why Eustace abuses Courage so much. So, and we are shown that why he does it is because his mother is like always mean to him. And so we see his mother be nice to Courage but be mean to him. And so later on in the episode, we find out that she was wearing a wig the entire time and thinks she's ugly because she's bald. And then Eustace and her have a special moment where he tells her that he doesn't think that she is ugly. And so yeah, it's just a weirder moment. Okay, so now we're at the memorable episodes category, where these aren't like my favorite episodes, but they're like episodes like worth talking about. And so the first one is the Snowman Cometh. And this one, a snowman is trying to, apparently there's a certain like gene in like humans that causes them like not to melt. and so he's trying to get a human to take out that gene and put it into himself. That way he won't melt once like the sun or something comes along. And so Courage and the old people happen to be like right by there, and just as a weird plot. The great Fusili, or Fusili, and this one, the villain. And by the way, the villain in this episode is played by Jim Cummings, who is famous for voicing a lot of characters, including Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, which you can really tell the Tigger aspect by listening to the voice of this character. And Jim Cummings is also famous for voicing Darkwing Duck as well. In this episode, though, this alligator performer comes to their old shack in the middle of nowhere and like tries to turn them into puppets. So he doesn't like at first, like, you don't expect the puppet part coming, but when you do, it's just like a weird moment. And so I'm going to spoil it here and say that Eustace and Muriel saw a day puppets, and this was like the last episode of season 1, and so I'm curious if they will saw hot day puppets in season 2, or if there's an episode of Courage trying to turn them back from puppets into like actual people. So everyone wants to direct, and this one, there's not much to say about this one. In this one, a director comes to the old people and Courage and asks them if he can use their house for his latest movie, and they say like yes, but when Courage sees like almost instantly that he is a zombie and they shouldn't trust him, but the old people has always like don't listen to him and think he's making things up, but it turns out he actually is a zombie, and apparently their house was built over a graveyard, which the zombie director's brother was buried under, and so he tries to get his brother to come back to life. And so, I mean, yeah, that's a really interesting plot. So, yeah. Night of the Weremole. This is one of 2 episodes where Muriel is turned into like a monster type character. And this one, she is bitten by a weremole while working in her garden, and they take her to a doctor, which I think you couldn't bring the doctor character back because I think it's a little like racist in a way. If you've seen the episode and know the doctor part, you know what I'm talking about. And so, and then, well, he tells her like shh, he's fine. She won't turn into a weremole if I'm remembering correctly, and then he does. And half of the episode is Eustace playing a whack-a-mole trying to whack Muriel. So, yep. Demon in the Mattress. this one, Muriel tries to like get a new mattress, and so she calls this place that she saw in the newspaper, and and on the phone, that they seem nice until like she tries to tell them the address to like bring the mattress to the house, but then they tell her like that they know where she lives, and they've been expecting her, and so that's an obvious like point where you say you don't want it more, but being Muriel, she takes it anyways, and doesn't think like this is a little shady, and so she then surprise, now gets a demon inside of her, and then Eustace and Courage try to like say hey Sahabel to get it out of her. Oh my word, these episodes. Dr. Lequack, Amnesia Specialist is the name of this episode. That was probably a horrible impression of that character, but in this one, we see there's a character called like Lequack, and like he says he's a doctor, but early he's like this game artist. So there's not a lot to say about this one, but you probably know this one best for there's these videos on YouTube about like what were they thinking moments in cartoons, and so you've probably seen a clip of this a duck type character and really huge like handcuffs that he could get out of easily. Well, that's from this one episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. So that's all I have to say about this episode. The Shadow of Courage. The ending of this one is kind of heat, but the rest of it is like, I want to put it's too. I'll say this: it's too little of a sweet moment to put in the sweet episodes category, and so that's why it's in this category. And so the plot is a really old grumpy rich man passes a way. And so the shadow of him is now free and goes to the old people's place in the middle of nowhere and tries to freak them out. So before we talk about the next episode, though, there's parts where where the shadow poses as Eustace strangling Courage, and so Muriel tries to go after him, and this weird song plays. It just is a great moment from this episode. Just my favorite, one of my favorite moments of the Courage series is that opera music playing while Muriel tries to bang Eustace on the head. The clutching foot And this one, Eustace gets like a foot fungus, and the foot fungus like absorbs his whole body until like he's now this big purple giant foot. Yeah. That's all I really have to say about this one. Other than, I haven't talked about this character, but besides from Courage and the Old People, like the other really main character that appears a lot is this computer that like is a pre like Siri or Alexa thing, only like it's on this really old computer that Courage goes to for advice. So he's not in every episode, but I think he's like the fourth main character. So yeah. And he appears in this Clutching Foot episode. Last, we're gonna talk about an episode that's not in my favorites category, but it's still like one of the classic episodes that whenever people are talking about Courage, like it ends up being brought up, and that is the Freaky Fred episode. I don't like it as much as other people do, but it certainly is an episode worth talking about. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's already been talked about enough, and I don't have really anything other to add about it, other than it's just if you're beginning to Courage, it's an episode it would be one I would recommend to people if they were just starting Courage. So, yeah. The last category we're going to be talking about that I want to have is my top 5 favorite episodes of Courage. And so, yeah, we're gonna start at number 5, and warning, these are episodes that I haven't talked about yet, and so if you were like thinking your favorite episode was hissing from this video, I'm gonna talk about it here. So number 5 is the Revenge of the Chicken from Outer Space, and this one, the chicken alien that we see in the pilot actually returns, and so at the end of the pilot, like, the alien is turned into a roasted chicken and goes back onto his spaceship and flies away. Well, in this one, the opening is just him taking like heads off of things. I don't think he takes any heads off of people. And so then he goes to the farm to get revenge of Courage, and wants Courage's heads to put on his own body, and so he eventually gets Eustace's head, though, and it looks really weird on the chicken, and so a series of antics occur, and yada yada yada. The chicken is defeated. Number 4, we're going to talk about, my 4th favorite episode is the Duck Brothers episode. This one, I can't tell if these are like British or Australian ducks, but the plot is, and and I love how all the aliens in this like in season 1 are just birds. And so the plot of this one is the Duck brothers capture Muriel and put like a device on her head. That way they can control her, and so they have her go to like this Area 51 type of place and to get their brother back. So the only thing other I have to talk about this one is I have to mention the like almost a rock'em sock'em robots type fight that they have with Muriel and Eustace, who are being controlled. I love that moment. I also love the moment where so Courage ends up hooing the other duck brother, and then the cook asks him, "What shall I cook them?" And then Courage turns to him and like says in the best voice possible, "Huck." And so it's not really funny when I describe it, but if you go back to the episode, it's just it's one of the best moments in the series so far in season 1. My number 3 favorite episode is Journey to the Center of Nowhere, and this one, a drought comes onto a farm, and that somehow turns the eggplant evil and makes them become alive. And so my favorite thing about them though is that they're apparently they talk in these Russian accents, which I don't know why, but I find hilarious for some reason. And so that's really all I have to say. Number 2 is King Ramses' Curse. This is a classic. Apparently a lot of children were afraid when they first saw this. Which, I mean, it is a creepy villain character. It hasn't aged too well, but I think that's one of the things that makes it like one of my favorites. I also love the song that they play, which I'm not going to like sing here, but because of copyright issues, obviously. So, yeah. Alright, so I kind of cheated at the end of this one. For number 1, I put both of the Cats episodes at my number 1 spot, which are A Night at the Cats Motel and Club Cats. They're both at the number 1 spots because I think Cats is a legendary character. And then at the Night at the Cats Motel, he has this like spider called Hexion, and so he tries to like beat the gain to his spiders. And at Club Cats, he turns them into like mechanical things, and so Courage turns into a helicopter. Muriel is like a washing machine, and Eustace gets turned into like a like a bulldozer type thing. And so, yeah, they're both at number one because I find I find Cat as a legendary character. I got the hiccups for a sec, y'all. Oh no. And so, yeah, those are my top five. They're just opinion based, but in my opinion, those are my favorite. So, yeah. And that concludes my overview of some of the episodes from Courage the Cowardly Dog Season 1. I would call Season 1 the classics season just because there are a lot of like episodes that people like mention all the time, such as Freaky Fred, King Ramsay's Curse, and etc. But some of them, like, they weren't all golden episodes, but I would say it's a pretty good season. Um, I give this season of Courage I would say an 8.5 such R's out of 10 such R's. So, and so, yeah, so, yo, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel because we're trying to get to 50 subscribers, and I will release a video discussing the lore behind the Dr. Seuss specials, and so yeah, click that bell icon to stay tuned for part 2 of this Courage thing where I talk about season 2 of Courage. And so don't miss that, y'all, and goodbye.